Okay.
Yeah.
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 All right.
Yeah.
Back. Outside the Cinema, your source for cult movie discussion. Let's hope everything works. Let's hope everything works. First off, apologies for the way the show sounded last week. Had no idea. Everything, it's weird because we've been working with this Riverside software. And, like, in theory, it's awesome. Right?
Yeah.
Like, in theory, it does everything we want it to do. We just haven't been able to hit it quite right yet. Last week,
Yeah.
I thought we did. All of Chris's recordings uploaded. He didn't drop out at any point. We had everything we needed. But then, I export everything. I run the same things over that I always do. And somewhere along the line, Chris's air filter in the background became like the third host of the show.
Yeah, and it's been going since November, which is messed up.
Right. So I don't know if there was a setting somewhere or what it was, but so I apologize for that. I did upload a new version of it earlier today. The sound is still there, but it is definitely lower than it was before. So if you started listening to the show last week and you couldn't handle the sound in the background, Travis, I don't have time for this right now.
That's your reasoning to everybody that had a problem with the sound?
He's requesting some app. Approve. Fine. Go. No, I don't want to enter my password. And now Chris's audio will drop out because I did that. So I re-uploaded a new version of it. It's better. The levels are better. It's still there a little bit. I apologize. Chris and I did some tests before we started today.
Yeah.
We should be good. We're live on Twitch also. So if you're hanging out on Twitch to watch us live, thank you very much for being there. I should put that up in front of me too to make sure. Just so I can monitor. Open in the App Store. Again, God damn it. Unreal. Close. Why is this happening to me? And your dog's going nuts in the background. Everyone wins.
Hey, the air filter used to cover that up, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Good. All right, here, just turn it off. Just turn the volume off, Bill. No, because, the one time I don't have it in front of me will be the one time somebody has something in the chat room.
Oh, no, I'm not laughing at that at all. No, I totally get that.
Anyway, yeah. So you can... I got to close this. I got too much light going on. Jesus.
We're never getting
If you
this
want to
episode
re-download
done.
the show, you can re-download the show with a better sounding file. Hopefully everything is good to go. We are live on Twitch, as we are each and every week when we record at 2:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. This week's show programmed by Patreon follower, friend, countryman. Actually, I don't think he's a countryman. I think he's from the UK. Howard.
Ancient countryman.
Ancient country. He's from the old England where we live is the New England.
Yes. So we're 6 hours behind and a step ahead. I don't know.
No, we're not
really.
a step ahead anymore, man. Not anymore.
No, about 4 years ago, we just kind of sat down and pooped our pants.
Yeah, and regressed back to being children. So anyway, we are doing Howard's picks this week. He chose The Firm, which was a BBC made-for-TV movie starring the one and only Gary Oldman in an early performance of him, directed by Alan Clark.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of a misnomer because here he is actually a young man.
This is true. We have covered a number of Alan Clark's movies. I feel like we've also done a number of football hooligan movies.
Yeah, and I have the same reaction to every single one.
Right. See my new Danhausen mug?
Who is that?
He's a wrestler.
Oh, okay.
So
nice. Why is he looking a little bit like Sting?
Because that's kind of his thing.
Okay.
He's goofy, but he very what?
Caffeinated, very evil. Gotcha.
Yep. Because his whole tagline is very nice, very evil, very nice is his thing.
All right.
But he did a thing with Rootless Coffee. I feel like they should be a sponsor for me because I talk about them a lot. But Rootless Coffee, if you guys want good craft, slow Small company coffee, rootless is awesome. Anyway, yes. So we're doing another foosball hooligan movie.
Yeah.
And then we are going to be doing Spring from the directors of, what are their movies again? I can never remember. Like, I love their stuff, but like I can never remember the names of the flicks.
Resolution, The Endless, and Synchronic.
And Synchronic. I haven't seen Synchronic. Is that the most recent one?
Yes, and that one, it's not like their others for a decent portion of. There's like a sci-fi mystery going on.
What is going on?
Yeah. But then
what is happening?
When you find out what's really happening, what is the matter? Is something really going on?
Yeah. Did you not hear that?
No.
Out of nowhere, my podcast player started playing the Nikki Glazer podcast.
Yeah, no, I didn't hear that at all.
You didn't hear it?
No, because I would have said, "Hey, it's Nikki Glazer. She's dirty."
You don't hear that?
No.
Weird.
Yeah, no, nothing.
Weird.
All I have is a tiny buzz from there. I fixed that.
And you can hear me, weird.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry, continue. I missed all of that because fine. Continue, please.
Oh, yeah, Synchronic. So, like it's got a mystery going on like all the others. Not a mystery box kind of mystery, but one that actually gets answered. And for about half the movie, you're like, where is this? I don't even. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh shit. So I think they write their movies like mysteries. Like this is what the thing is going to be. So now we go back and we drop hints going in and write a story. And I'm not a huge Anthony Mackie fan. I mean, I'm probably, a little more than, maybe 60% a fan. But I liked him in it. So
okay.
Yeah, I recommend it. It's a decent, at least one-time watch.
Okay.
I like all their stuff so far.
Well, we're doing Spring. I don't know whether we actually said whether we're doing Spring.
I think
which is Howard's other pick. I don't know if I did. I got so confused right there because my Spotify just started playing podcasts. I do love the Nikki Glazer podcast. Very funny, very evil.
I like her. I like her a lot.
Yeah, no, she's good. She's like the right amount of raunchy.
Yep.
But not too much, where you're like, okay, we get it.
Right, and she makes fun of herself a lot, which I really like.
Very self-deprecating.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing this week. So if you want to be like Howard and you want to program the show, you can do that if you're one of our Patreon members. Go to patreon.com/outsidethecinema. $5 a month gets you access to the show archives. It also gets you access to the private feed. It also gets you access to, picking movies for the show. We actually got we got a new one the other day. Hold please, and I'll tell you who. What is this I'm looking at? What is going? Why?
It's the liner notes to the Nikki Glazer podcast.
No. Okay, here we go. So Mark joined up.
Okay.
Mark joined up, and he said, "Sir Bill and Mr. Chris, thank you. I now have access to the archives. As for suggestions, I don't know if you guys have ever covered this one, but Dario Argento wrote a spaghetti western version of The Seven Samurai -2 called 5-Man Army.
Huh.
I've never seen 5-Man Army.
No.
I've heard about it for years, but I've never watched it, so that's definitely a cool one. Other film suggestions I can make: Manhunt in the City with Henry Silva, and then also Michael Mann's Thief, or Vice Squad with Wings Hauser. We did Vice Squad, I think.
I don't remember.
We did something with Wings Hauser.
But no, he's dialed in on the heart of the show. That is definitely.
Yeah. Oh, he knows.
What I think is really funny is that the Italians are going to do a spaghetti western version of Seven Samurai, and it's about 5 people. That tracks, actually, for spaghetti westerns, doesn't it?
We couldn't afford the other 2 people.
Exactly. We can't even get 2 extras to fill out this group.
No.
We didn't have enough spaghetti. That's how they got paid. That's why it was called spaghetti westerns, right? Because they got paid in spaghetti.
He also mentioned some potential top 6 lists if we wanted to redo that. Top 6.
Oh yeah, we should go back to those. Top 6 what?
Rutger Hauer films.
I thought you said Ron Howard films.
You stopped flapping your gums, you would have heard me.
You hired me to talk, so you get what you get.
I didn't hire you.
You get what you get.
as a friend.
I know. Well, one time you gave me food, so that's like payment. So
I've given you food many times over the years.
Well,
Don't
no,
even play me like that.
first time. There you go. The first time you gave me food, that was payment. I'm like a fucking house elf that doesn't live there.
How many times did you go when you used to come to the studio for the show? Do you remember how many times you'd walk out of here with like a giant bowl of chili?
That is true. That is true.
You would just take all our leftovers.
Yeah, because I couldn't take the dog, so there we go.
I don't even know where he is. He's usually in here. He hasn't been in here yet. So, he also said Japanese crime and samurai films. I also apologize for fucked up my spelling. I only realized once the message was sent. Once again, thank you and your podcast. You are top 3.
Nice.
Cool. So thank you very much, Mark. We'll get to some of those picks. And I know Ollie had actually also mentioned some stuff, so we got some stuff from Ollie to do. He wants us to do Troll and Snatch.
Because he wants the title of the show to be Troll Snatch.
Well, yeah, obviously.
I mean, come on.
Obviously. I would rather watch that movie, to be honest.
Oh, I watched Troll on VHS in 1986, right before I watched Alien, right before we went to see Aliens.
Let me ask you this.
That's the best thing I can say about Troll.
Let me ask you this question. Because I was thinking about it the other day when I got Mark's email. And we used to do a top 6 list and 2 reviews every single episode.
Yeah.
And yet the episodes were still like under 2 hours. Usually. I mean, occasionally they would go over 2 hours. But we dropped the 3rd segment a couple years ago, and our shows aren't really any shorter. Like, were our reviews just infinitely less, like...
They might have been shorter, yeah.
I don't know. Sean's in the chat room, and he says he missed the top 6 list as well.
I mean, what we're doing now is essentially like a top 6 list, and then you would look at the time, and you would arrange the reviews to be a certain length to fit the time.
Well, I mean, I didn't arrange it that way. It just kind of ended up that way.
No, but you watched and always, and you're like, all right, let's do this part, and you keep it going. So I think that's why the show remains the same length. Because I mean,
I don't know,
if we're reviewing 5 Samurai in Italy, how long is that review gonna take? Right.
Some of those Italian films.
No,
though,
I know.
We can like, what are we going to say about Troll? It's the precursor to Troll 2.
That is true. Well, it is
Troll
and it
2.
isn't.
Troll 2, maybe the only movie that's worse than Troll.
Well, there's
Top
Ghoulies
6
too,
why
right?
Troll. Yeah. Well, we did the Ghoulies. Did we do the whole series of Ghoulies?
I don't think so. Did we?
We did
I don't
Critters,
fucking
right?
know.
No, we did. We did all the Ghoulies because I remember we watched Ghoulies Go to College or whatever it was.
Shit. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff I deleted as soon as I was done watching it.
No, I completely understand.
Deleted like out of my memory, not out off a computer or anything, but like
legitimately just removed it from your memories.
Yeah, overwrote it with zeros, ready for new info.
Also, when we did top 6 lists, we also didn't friggin' riff at the beginning of a show like we do now. We'd get right into it.
Right.
Yeah, way more drops, Sean says, too. Yeah. God, I used to put so much work into the show. We had commercial breaks. We had sponsors. We had trailer drop. We had all kinds of stuff, man. I don't do any of that anymore.
Well, I mean, part of the thing, if you think about it, really is like podcasts got super popular. And then the only ones that ever get any kind of recognition, regardless of the work put into the shows, is ones with famous people, and that's kind of demoralizing.
Yeah, it's like, why are you going to put that time and effort into it? Our listeners still love what we do.
Right.
So, like, they're not going to care if we don't play trailer audio. Yeah, it's cool, but, like, that's not why they're here, you know?
Right. Because if you want the trailer audio, you could just, hey, they're doing that show.
Yeah, but I used to dig, and I'd get all those old, like, radio commercials. And
oh, yeah. Yeah. It is a little tough when you see a brand new show with
jackasses like Joe Rogan get $200 million.
That's such an outlier, though. Isn't that such a weird thing?
Yeah, I mean, there's other ones that got deals like that, but I don't think they're that big.
I like what we do. I don't see how it's a sustainable moneymaker for another business. I don't get that.
Well, the thing I think is when you get that level of popularity and that amount of people that listen on a regular basis, even on your peaks and valleys, you're still drawing.
Oh,
based
you're
on the
selling
name,
ads based on
an overall,
based on the audience, not engagement or anything. So
Right.
and it's even easier to see who's subscribed and downloads the show on the regular. Whether they listen to it or not is a whole nother thing.
It doesn't matter. It's just based on the numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, when we used to be on, was it Mevio? When we were on Mevio and we were pulling hundreds of thousands of downloads every week, like, I know there wasn't 100,000, 150,000 people listening to the show, but where Mevio was putting it, it was downloading that many times.
Right.
So it was literally just based on the numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is what it is. I mean, hey, whatever. We're still doing it. I don't care.
Yeah. Hey, as long as people are still nice to us, that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, Sean's saying he's really glad that we're still around. We're the second podcast he ever listened to.
Oh, very nice.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't remember. The first one must have been Cinema Diabolica, which has come and gone like 25 times since then. I do love that F13 does that, though. Every now and then, there'll just, like, randomly be a Cinema Diabolica episode.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
he just does not fucking care. Like,
Nope.
It's like, whatever. He's like, I feel like talking about something today. I'll record it. I don't know. Meanwhile, DZ sending me creepy DMs in my friggin' Instagram every time I post something. Keep it 100 emoji. What? Settle down, man.
Yeah, that tracks.
Sounds about right. Speaking of tracking, our first film tonight suggested to us by Howard. I meant to say suggested. I did just say subjected.
I know. I wasn't going to say anything because you covered it so well.
Wasn't bad.
No.
I'm the only idiot that points out when I make my own mistakes. Like, nobody would say anything.
No.
But, like, I'll mispronounce something, and they would have let it go, and I'm just like, do you hear me mispronounce that, Chris?
That's kind of our thing.
I know. Oh, man, so, like, I'm growing my hair out, and I really hate the length it's at right now.
Oh.
Because I'm, like,
Yeah.
it's, like, so it's just kind of weird because it's not long enough to kind of fall down up here, so, like, my receded hairline looks a lot more perturbed than it actually is.
Oh, and it's
But,
super
like,
dry out, too, so it's going to be
yes,
all
yeah.
staticky, right? Yeah.
All staticky, and I don't know. For some reason, I decided I was going to grow my hair out, and I haven't grown my hair out since I was, like, an early teenager. So, and I'd lost so much hair over the pandemic because, stress. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to grow my hair out now for a couple years and just, like, let it go while I still have enough of it. And if it gets to the point where it's too thin, I just start shaving it off, whatever. I say I don't care. I do. I'm actually kind of a vain person.
Well, hair's it's a very specific thing.
Well, I mean,
it
here's the thing.
helps
If you're a dude-
define you from a distance and all that.
Right. But if you're a dude that's like, I'm like covered in tattoos, like, and you try to tell me, like, yeah, it's a vanity thing. Yeah, I love tattoos, but like, I like tattoos because I like the way they look.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a vain thing. Like, it is.
Yeah,
It is what it is. I don't know if I'm sharing any of this. Why don't we just play the trailer for Spring?
I don't know. You're in control.
All right. Well, here's the trailer for Spring. If you guys are watching the show live on Twitch, you get to see it. And if you're listening, you get to hear it. And if you want to see it, you can go back to Twitch and watch it. Anyway, here's Spring. No, that's not right. Hang on. No,
Liberty,
I forgot.
liberty.
I forgot to hit it live. All right, here we go. Try that again.
Look, man, you need to change up your environment.
You're the most attractive person I've ever seen. Go out with me tomorrow night.
No.
Buongiorno.
Do you remember my
You
name?
never told me. Scusa.
You're learning.
Le donne sono del gelo del mondo.
And you're not afraid to embarrass yourself. That's good.
I'm Evan.
Louise.
Been seeing this Italian girl. She's really pretty.
So, I only get to see you at night.
Our nights together must remain a secret.
She acts kind of weird sometimes, and I found something that gives me some doubts.
Are you really from around here?
I'm half undiscovered science, bunch of confusing biochemistry, and some crazy hormones.
You probably lie a lot.
I've actually never lied to you. Even I'm a mystery to myself. I have a medical condition that comes and goes, and it's a very long story.
I gotta make sure you're the kind of crazy I can deal with.
Italian women. The best. I think you could be the love of my life.
I don't think you're ready for where this is going.
Explain it to me.
Love comes around a couple times if you're lucky. Life probably seems short no matter what.
Alrighty, Spring. That sounded super stuttery for us. I don't know whether that was just us or if the feed or whatever it was. So if it was kind of weird, there's our first fuck up of the night.
Yeah.
Spring 2014. It's billed as a romantic body horror film. Directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, starring Lou Taylor Pucci and Nadia Hilker. Plot's pretty. This is a pretty simple plot. You know, it's the type of thing where these guys are really good at kind of setting up a story and giving you something, and then like ending somewhere else completely different. So, main character, you got Evan. He's a young American. We learned at the beginning of the film he's losing his mother to cancer, and she passes away. He attends her funeral. And he's with his friends. One of them is Jeremy Gardner, who you guys will recognize from The Battery, Sadistic Intentions, and a number of other movies. They're kind of just talking. He knows the barkeep. He actually works at the bar. He gets himself into a physical altercation with another man because this other guy's just a fucking dick. It's such a, like, the moment, too, is like, so, like, stuff like that, like, drives me insane because it's so actually really, like, what would happen. He's sitting there. He's just doing his thing. He's drinking his beer. He's doing whatever. And we know that there's other people there that are kind of just like loud and obnoxious. And so Evan gets up to go to the bathroom. This other dude just like walks directly into him.
Yeah.
Like doesn't even attempt to like move out of the way. Just walks into him, slams his shoulder into him, and is just like, "Hey man, fucking look out."
Yeah.
And this dude's just like, "Man, not the fucking day."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, just came from my mother's funeral. My life is in complete disarray. Not the day to fuck with me.
Yeah.
And the dude is like, ugh. So he just fucking punches him in the face and then beats the shit out of him.
Yep.
And then there's that whole, like, the girlfriend is like, you're gonna kill him. It's like, well, dude fucking started it.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that like the story of it always is that, you know, you start it and then somebody freaks out because you finished it. They started it.
Yeah.
I'm just finishing. Fuck you.
It's that whole, like, bit off more than you can chew scenario.
Yeah, it's that, oh, shit, my dick fell off while I was in the bathroom. I got to be a tough guy now.
Yeah, and this will come into play in the other movie, in the second movie, too, of the, like, you know, knowing when to fucking quit. like, so Evan basically beats the shit out of this guy, goes back home, and he realizes that the cops are looking for him because he beat the hell out of this guy, and that's assault, brother.
Yeah.
So he's like talking about maybe leaving and getting out. He realizes he's got a passport, so he just gets in a car the next morning, and he just calls the airport and literally says, "Get me on the next flight to anywhere." I don't know. Where would you go? And that's what he says to the travel agent. And she must say Italy because he looks at the girl next to him in the van and is like, "Hey, should I go to Italy?" And she just looks at him.
Right.
And she's like,
right.
"I don't know you, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know you, dude."
That is not a question other people ask people.
No. So this movie starts off. He goes to Italy. You know, he's traveling around. He meets a couple of English guys that party him into the ground.
Yeah,
Like,
they appear
he
to be
thinks-
football hooligans.
Very much so. Like the epitome of the football hooligan.
Yep.
real loud, but they befriend him, and he likes the
Oh,
fact
they're
he's being
nice.
befriended.
They're nice.
Oh yeah, they're loud and boisterous and in your face, but best of intentions.
Yeah, they are exactly the same kind of hooligans that Peter Parker ran into in the Mysterio Spider-Man movie when he was on the train.
Yes, which I rewatched yesterday.
Super nice and helpful, right? Except these hooligans are more into sticking their dick and stuff and not so much in the Spider-Man one.
Right. So
That would have been a
Evan,
very different movie.
Evan comes across Louise, who's this beautiful Italian girl. She's actually a German actress, which I learned later on because I'm like, I know her from some stuff, and she's in The Walking Dead. I don't know. Is she still in The Walking Dead?
I don't know. I stopped watching that a while ago.
Yeah, I did too, but like she was in it when I stopped watching.
Oh, okay.
So he basically just kind of like, gets kind of flirtatious with her, and she's like, yeah, like, you want to come home with me? We can go home now. And he's like, whoa, okay, wait, what? Well, I got to buy my friend some drinks. He's like, you'd rather go over to your friends than come home with me? And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, no, you wouldn't, because she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, she's like, all right, you're a loss. And so he gets, so she goes, and then he gets a job on a farm.
Oh, not to mention all the guys make fun of him.
As well they should.
Yeah.
So he gets to work on a farm. He finds a listing for somebody looking for some room and board with, help on the farm. So he's learning how to do that with an older Italian gentleman. And then he meets Louise again, randomly in the streets. And they strike up a little bit of a relationship. She initially kind of rejects him.
Yeah.
But
not
kind of just like,
really. I mean, let's be honest. She's
it's more of a
coyly playing hard to get.
Yeah, it's more of a flirtatious rejection than it is an outright like, you need to leave me alone.
Oh yeah.
So, they start to build this little relationship. They actually get together. They have what the Italians like to call the lovemaking.
Yep.
Totally unrelated. Have you watched the MacGruber series yet?
No, I forgot all about that.
It's funny. There's a couple points in there where Kristen Wiig is supposed to be doing a Russian. She's like supposed to be impersonating a Russian woman, and she keeps slipping into an Italian accent.
Yeah.
And it's like, so she's like, yes, in Soviet Russia, we go to this.
Okay, all right.
It's actually really
I'm
good.
sold. I'll watch it just for that.
It's really, it's quite funny. But Gruber's got a weird tone to it though, man.
Okay.
Like, it's got this really weird, like, it's played super straight.
Okay.
But like the things that are going on are utterly ridiculous.
All
but
right.
there's no slapstickness to it at all. So it's actually quite uncomfortable and awkward.
Nice.
But it's good.
Nice.
It's good.
All right.
Also, did you watch when he hosted SNL maybe a couple months ago, right after that premiered? Did you watch it?
I think so.
He did these MacGruber sketches, but there was like 3 of them throughout the show.
Was it like wearing the mask and it was all, what's it called? Pandemic related?
Yeah, he started off, but in each one he gets more and more like QAnon with everyone. I watched it earlier today. I missed it when it was on earlier, or when it aired originally, but Mel's like, you got to watch it. So he gets like progressively more right wing as it goes on, and by the end of it, he is fully down the QAnon hole.
Yeah.
But as MacGruber.
It was weird.
What? Funny though. So they hook up, and she gives him, as we said earlier, the lovemaking.
Yep.
She gives him that amore.
Ah, yes, that's it.
And she has sex with him without a condom. And that's a very important part of the story. So, she wakes up before him in the morning, but she has this kind of weird appearance going on with her. So she freaks out and leaves. And this is really the first inkling that we see that there's something off with her. There's something wrong.
Yeah.
So we see her giving herself these injections into her skin where her skin is discoloring, and like there we see these other scenes where like her bone structure is changing. There's a point where she looks almost like a werewolf. She kills a cat at one point, and then it's all very like unclear what exactly is going on. So Evan wakes up the next morning and she's not there, and he's like, all right, okay, I guess I'm gonna go to work.
Yeah.
So he goes to work.
Yeah.
But then he runs back into her again because they're in this like small town. I don't even remember where they were supposed to be. So they were in some small town there somewhere, and like so he runs across her again, and he's like, yeah, you kind of took off on me last night, and she's like, oh, well, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I did.
Yeah. So they explore the town together, and like they just they build this relationship, and like we see these little cracks of something going on with her in terms of like her giving herself these injections and like her body changing, but we have no idea what's going on, and that is what is I think so works so well in this film is so many people try to do the thing where they present something and it ends up being something else, but they, as directors, Benson and Moorhead together, do this incredible job of like giving you enough sprinklings to be like, listen, hang with us.
Yeah.
There's something else major coming. It's not going to be that like the first time you see From Dusk Till Dawn, if you don't know anything about it, and all of a sudden it goes from being a crime thriller just into a werewolf movie. Like 90-degree turn. Like this they give you the sprinkling, so you want to know more. You want to know more. What's going on? Is she going to attack him? What's going on? Because there's a point where like she has to leave abruptly, and she kills a really ignorant American tourist.
Yes, and in that scene, she is some kind of lizard person, and that's the thing. As I was watching this, I'm like, okay, I know I've seen what these guys have done, and there has to be a good reason that she has been a werewolf type, a lizard type, whatever else. Like there's no creature in movie history that is all of the Universal monsters, basically.
Right.
And that's what kept me interested is they're not just going to do something stupid where it's like, oh, it depends on the position of the stars or something. And they didn't. I like that.
Yeah. So they give you the little pieces. They put you on the road, and you take a very scenic drive to get there.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like the best way I think to explain it. So they're talking back and forth, and like he opens up to her about his family life and his mother passing away and all the things that have happened to him, and he then asks her, and she tells him that she has heterochromia, which is the two different eye color thing. So he sees the condition in a lot of the paintings and stuff that they've looked at because they go to some museums, and like he's like, why do you wear? She says to him, she goes, I have two different color eyes, and he's like, I think your eyes are beautiful. You don't need to wear two different things. And she's like, oh, thank you or whatever. But there's all these points where like her condition gets worse, and she has to kind of like bail out real quick.
Yeah.
That American guy, like, is so ignorant. Like, because we see him earlier, and he's the fucking American that goes to another country, walks around with his fucking USA bandana.
Yeah.
Gets blackout drunk because he's fucking cool, and like assumes that everybody is just there for his enjoyment. So he assumes that she's a prostitute.
Oh,
because
right.
you would walk up to any random person on the street who's obviously having an issue because she's like getting sick, and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" And then first he's like, "Hey, you all right?"
Yeah,
and she doesn't respond because no, she's not all right. And then he goes, "How much for a blowjob?"
Right,
and she doesn't respond, and so he's just like, "Okay, cool. I guess I'll just open my pants then."
Right,
and bad move. Because when we see his dead body the next morning, there are certain parts of his body that are no longer there.
I like calling that VHS. His crotch was VHS.
We like to call that come-uppins.
Oh,
do I have a drum roll here?
Probably not. Whoa.
No, not drum roll. No, stop.
There it is.
Come-uppins. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, all right. So stupid. So she realizes that she's kind of losing control of this and basically tries to break up with Evan and is like, hey, we can't do this. And he's like, why? And she's like, she gives him the you're not this. You're like falling in love with me, and I'm not interested.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
And he's like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, and she's like, "See you later." So she dumps him, and he's obviously utterly heartbroken because this poor guy. Like, at first, I'm like, I don't like this dude.
Yeah.
And I think you're not supposed to. I think you're not supposed to like him at first because he seems short-sighted. He seems ignorant.
He also seems very lower class because, and honestly, it's the way he carries himself, the bandages on his hand, the coat, all of it just says uneducated nobody. I mean, they were it seems like they were very particular in what they had him wear because he never changes really.
Well, and that's a part of it too. She's like, "Are you going to change your shirt at any point?"
That's
He's
right.
like, "I came to Italy with just my backpack."
Yeah.
He's like, "I don't have any other clothes."
That's a great way to save money too, isn't it?
So
It's
right,
not
yeah.
like they gave him other clothes where she's like, I got clothes. Hold on. She's like, oh,
So we know that he's in the country, like technically illegally. He was just there on vacation and just like decided he was going to stay.
Yeah.
So he's working on the farm, and then the police show up at the farm, and he says to the guy,
I
he's
love
like,
this
This is after.
exchange.
And he says to the guy, he goes, "Listen, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be around. Me and my girlfriend broke up, and the old gentleman that works there is just incredibly nice guy. Like, and he's like, oh, hey, whatever. That's too bad. And then the cops show up, and he's like, the cops are here, and he's like, yeah, immigration. They're looking for illegal aliens. And he goes, should I run? The guy just goes, yeah.
Yes, so matter of fact, like bored, like it's he knows it's the last thing he's ever gonna say to him. It's just like
He's like, yeah. And he just books it. He just runs.
he does.
It's
He
like-
doesn't run to the house. He doesn't run past the guy. Just through the field, over a wall.
where everyone could see him. Like the police were like right there.
But
whatever, it doesn't matter.
As we've seen from Italian movies, the killer could be literally right in front of you, and they'll just go have a shot at J&B.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
he ran away? Yeah, we'll get him tomorrow.
So
It's
he then
lunchtime.
ends up. So he's kind of like bumming around. He ends up in a bar, and he's talking to the bar guy. He's talking about the girlfriend that dumped him, and he has nowhere to go, and he has nothing to do. Like he doesn't know what he's gonna do. So he basically goes to her apartment, and he's just like knocks on the door, and he's like, "Hey, listen, I know you told me to go away, but like,
Yeah.
I don't really have anywhere to go and such." So he tries to open the door because he hears her like grunting and screaming. So he tries to open the door, but the door's latched, and he looks in and he sees blood on the floor. And because, as we've learned, he's actually a stand-up guy. He's not a bad dude.
Right.
He's just, he's just a dude. So he kicks the door in, and he walks in, and she's all like fucking Cthulhu tentacled out on the floor.
Yep, she is turning into an octopus
Yes.
thing.
So he's able to find one of her shots and give her the shot, and that's where we learn all the ins and outs of her being like a mutant that's been around for like 2,000 years, and all the pictures that we've seen with the dual eye colors, it's actually her in all of them. And she gives the whole story and all these things, and basically is just like, so I'm like immortal, and I change my form every 20 years. I have to change forms, and so he figures, asks her some questions, and she's like, well, if you were to change, your body chooses the DNA. If you were to choose your adult DNA as opposed to the new DNA, would you be able to stay? And she's like, yeah, but like, why would I do that? And he's like, well, if you have a reason to stay. And she's like, and so they start talking about love or whatever. And she's like, oh, well, my body would choose. It's like that kind of like survival thing. I felt like, oh, if my body chose because of, I was in love, it would chose to stay, then that would be how it would be. And so he's like, we've got about 35 minutes left in the runtime of the film. Let's see if I can get you to really truly fall in love with me.
Yeah, I like that it was a love story. It was about that a woman that is so disconnected from the reality she's in that she can't even connect with one person,
Right.
because she's afraid of losing them. That's what it really comes down to. Is this whole thing is about her entering into a relationship that she knows is going to end in loss, and that's gotta, after, let's even say 100 of her 2,000 years, if that's what was
Right.
the case, she would be mentally broken.
Right.
I mean, we're talking 2 millennia of slowly going insane because of you're the only one of what you are. It can be a very dark idea. So I totally get, excuse me. Oh my God, I won't stop hiccuping. I totally get why she wouldn't want to get close to him. Because why would I want to lose someone else just 20 years later after the last one and the last one and the last one?
Yeah, because 20 years really now, like, it doesn't, like, when you get older, there's that whole thing where, like, time moves so slow when you're a child. Well, yeah, because when you're 10 years old, 1 year is a 10th of your life. But when you're 40 years old, it's a year is 1/40th of your life.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, obviously it seems like it goes quicker because the longer you're around, the less amount of time it actually is. I know I had watched this when it was released in 2014, but I honestly did not really remember anything about it. So when Howard suggested it, I was all for doing it. And I really do enjoy this. I mean, I think it's got some issues, but I like the idea of, giving something or giving the expectation of something and then getting something else. And I really fucking love, actually, one of my favorite things in, like, the film and cinema world and, like, doing reviews and stuff is when, like, horror fans get fucking butthurt over shit. And, like, I saw so many reviews of this of, like, it's like barely even a horror movie. It's like, yeah, no shit. It isn't even a horror movie. It should be called Love Spring. Yeah, okay, sure. Call it Love Spring. That's fine. But, like, I love butthurt horror fans, man.
See, that's the thing. Like, did somebody actually say that?
Yeah, something like that.
Because the saying is, love springs eternal. So, yeah, fucker, it makes sense. Because she can't die. Like,
But
fucking come on.
Can she?
Well,
not to give away the end of the movie, but
sure.
can she?
Well, I'm sure through trauma or maybe not even self-inflicted, but through trauma, I am pretty sure she could die.
Right.
But this is horror.
So,
that's the thing. Like, what are people's
it is a horror
what are
movie,
people's definitions of horror anymore? Like, it's got a woman who eats people and she turns into various monsters, and it's all based around her condition. What else would this be?
I think people just they can't handle, like, the idea that there's more to something.
Oh.
I think we've talked about this a million times on the show, and I'm sure we'll talk about it again. There's so many, like, film fans that are willing to give anything a shot and give any type of, like, something outside of the box or something that's more interesting. Like, I know we're like that. I mean, most of our listeners are like that. That, you want something different. But then there's, like, this sect of horror fans that just want, like, hockey mask killers or, like, demons from the underworld, and they don't want anything that's going to make them think. And you see that a lot at conventions, whereas, like, I hate to say, like, lowest common denominator, but, like, there's kind of that mentality of it of, like I don't want to I mean, then there's times where I don't want to think too, but, like, to hate on films that have got something else bubbling underneath because it's not what you want it to be does not make it a bad movie.
Right.
We say that all the time. Like, we'll give something a bad review, but how many times will I give something a bad review that was like, I completely understand why people will like this?
Yeah.
So, and this is, I think, the perfect example of that, like, not for everybody, but I feel like anyone that's a movie fan that's willing to give anything other than just your standard fare a shot.
This is for people that want a story. Right. Horror movies, I mean, the mainstream cookie cutter franchise slasher stuff from the 80s. Could you really say they had a story, or was it just a plot device for kills?
I mean, most of the time.
Yeah. We're getting horror movies now more often with stories, actual stories. with a reason for it to happen and everything. Huh. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
The thing is, as you grow older, you're not going to be scared. You're not going to get the same visceral reaction, the thrill, the dopamine and adrenaline and serotonin. It's not all going to flow the same way when you grow up. So your reaction to blood and guts, like, it should be tempered a little bit. You shouldn't still be like Glenn Danzig, who's like, more blood, the better. Brr.
That's a perfect example, though, of like the bad horror fan.
Exactly. Yeah. He doesn't understand why horror is horror. He thinks horror is just scary pictures. If there's
Scary
nothing,
pictures and blood and guts.
if there's nothing behind the scary picture, like DC has a character, Etrigan, the demon. He's not scary. He's a fucking demon, but he's not scary. Probably because he's bright yellow and speaks in rhyme. But still, like,
speaking of demons, what about Dan Housen?
that's scarier to me because of the face.
Very nice, very evil.
I don't. But like, I don't know. There's entry level horror. There's mainstream horror. There's the weird shit that I like. There's psychological stuff. It's horror, anime, drama. It all falls into the same problem of it can have so many different categories because you have love stories, which are just romantic dramas. It can all.
Oh, I know, baby. I know.
It can all.
It's fine. It's fine. All right, Chris, do you recommend and what is your grade for Spring?
Yes, I love their stuff. They are two of my favorite filmmakers. I say that I don't follow directors. Like, I won't get excited for something a director is doing. But there are a couple. Like I heard these guys were making Synchronic, and I'm like, all right, I'll give that a shot. But I'm not rabid about it. I'm not like reading all the news about what everybody's doing.
Interesting. You know what you just said, Chris? You're a fucking liar.
I am. Sometimes.
Mr. Chris at what time is it?
It's
3:42 p.m. on Monday, February 28th. Yeah. Let the record show Mr. Chris is a fucking liar.
Now let me finish my sentence and prove that I'm not.
Now please continue. Yes, please continue.
But if I saw a trailer for something they did and I'm like, yeah, no, it doesn't. I'm not going to watch it if it doesn't interest me. So I'm a half liar because I'm interested in what they do, and I hope that it interests me when it comes out. I'm not the kind of fan of directors where I will watch everything they do regardless of whether or not I'm interested in it. I'm not that into anybody. So not
3:43 p.m. Monday, February 28th. Mr. Chris is a half fucking liar.
I thought that was established a long time ago, but okay.
Look at this dog. Look at this guy. Look at him.
He's just hanging out.
Look up for a sec.
He's just like,
show Chris your teeth.
When's it gonna be warm?
All right, my turn.
Oh wait, a grade. I'm gonna give it a B plus. It's a B plus to me. I enjoy it.
All right, yeah, I'm recommending it too. Definitely something that's a little bit different, but not so different. And like I said, they lead you down the path. They're not like giving you, an hour and 20 minutes of love story and then 3 minutes of monster. They're giving you you're definitely getting love story because the film's a love story.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, hey, quiet. If I can hear him, if I can hear you yelling, from out there, you need to be more quiet.
If I can hear you yelling, the whole world hears you yelling.
The whole world. Just a little bit more quiet, Travis. He's playing Fortnite with his friends, and he gets like super into
Oh,
it.
yeah.
So, yeah, I absolutely recommend it. I love when you have something that's something else, and like I said, I love butthurt horror fans, and I love reading the reviews of like, that is a horror movie.
Well, then you must have loved the Texas Chainsaw Massacre comments.
I haven't watched it yet, so I haven't looked at it.
The only mistake I think the movie might have made is that the main girl in the blue shirt with the bushy eyebrows is not related to the dude in the wheelchair from the first movie.
Okay.
She looks like she could be, and I wanted him to end up being like a niece or something. But no, that didn't happen. So don't expect that going in.
I wasn't expecting.
As soon as you see her, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, they're definitely related."
So yeah, I recommend Spring. And as far as the grade, I'm going to give it a straight B. It's a little slow in the front half. Takes a little bit longer than I would like for it to develop. But I mean, once it gets going, I'm on board with everything they're doing. And you know, I like just about everything these guys have done. I haven't seen the newest one yet, but I like, yeah, I mean, they're thinking about what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're attempting to do something different. They're attempting to give you something you're not getting in other places. And I think their stuff sits very well in the, like, I hate to say this term because I hate the term elevated horror, but like that's the type of stuff they're doing. If you need to use that to explain it, so be it. But that's, I think, kind of where they're living. And it's great. And it's available to watch on Shudder. It's also available to watch on Hulu. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right, next, 1989's The Firm, directed by Alan Clark. Actually, it's not 89. I think it's earlier than that. Oh, it was made in 87 and then released in 89. All right, so The Firm is a made-for-television movie directed by Alan Clark, who also did Made in Britain and a bunch of other movies. He died young. He died when he was 54 because he was like a 5 packs of cigarettes a day smoker.
That's a lot.
Died of cancer. Yeah,
That's a lot. That's 100 cigarettes a day.
I don't know if it's actually that many, but like he definitely died of lung cancer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this was a made for TV movie of part of a series, and I don't have the name of the series in front of me, and it's for some reason it's not
Like
mentioned.
Take Two or something.
Something like that. But it was like part of a series ongoing on BBC. So it's directed by Alan Clark, written by Al Hunter Ashton, produced by David Thompson, starring Gary Oldman, Leslie Manville, Phil Davis, and Charles Lawson. All right, I am going to play the trailer. For some reason, the last trailer was super, super skippy and robotic. I'll stop it if it gets bad, but here, take a look, everyone.
Right. Let's do it.
Look, I'm recruiting for a national firm. Do you want to know what?
I told you I am just gonna have in!
Dear Riverside, your platform is amazing in so many ways when it works properly.
Yeah.
Which, guess what? It doesn't most of the time.
Now, is it recording okay and the audio's just too much?
I don't know, but if it's got a live streaming option, I should be able to play these videos. Stupid. I'm just going to... Now it won't even let me stop it.
Of course not.
Unreal. All right. How do we get minimize? How do I get rid of it? I don't want it there anymore.
It's just a bunch of yelling for the rest of it.
Yeah. Sean's like, it sounds
I'll
really
leave you
bad.
with the
Yeah.
nicely said
Yeah.
motto. We come in peace. We leave you in peace.
Unbelievable. Unreal. Well, guess what I won't be using again? The built... Zeus in the chat room says it sounds like Mr. Roboto. Domo arigato.
I was listening to that
Man.
yesterday.
So Riverside will be receiving yet another strongly worded email from me. Really, really happy I paid for a year of this service.
They'll have you go through and check your crash logs or something totally
Yeah,
unrelated.
no, they're like, yeah, and like last week we were trying to clear it out. They were like, here, clear your cache. Dude, no shit.
Yeah.
Like, I do this. I've been doing this for 14 years. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
It's your software.
Meanwhile, you're talking to somebody that's been there for 6 months and is working from home.
Yeah, they didn't even know what a podcast was before January. Like, 14 years. I know what I'm doing. Just fucking let your stuff. If you know what? Hey, if the media players don't work properly, don't put them in the software yet.
Yeah. Well, there's that. I mean, what do you want from people? Jesus.
I don't know. It should be really fun when we go to play the segments later.
What if, God forbid you try to do a Halloween throwdown through this.
The Firm, 1989, directed by Alan Clark. Clive Bissell, better known as Bex or Bexy, is the main character here. Is played by Gary Oldman. He's a married man. He's got a young baby son. He's the leader of the hooligan firm known as the ICC, the Inner City Crew. His wife is no longer gives him approval for his activities as a football hooligan because he's like a real estate agent and has a young son. And everything we've learned from the number of football hooligan movies we watch is that these people are children that just don't know how to grow up. Like, here's the thing, man. Could you imagine if I was out there when the Bruins were playing, starting fistfights with Montreal Canadiens fans?
Right? It's so strange.
Here's the thing, man. I'm from the Boston area.
We know in Boston how to take a pepper spray bullet in the face.
I mean, I don't know what this "we" is.
Well, she did. She died, unfortunately, but the
What
cops
I
have
was
learned
going
how to
to
shoot
say-
pepper spray bullets at us the proper way now.
What I was going to say is, yes, there has been a fair share when the Boston sports teams have won things where people get a little crazy.
Yeah, this is slight, just a
But
couple cars
my
turned
point-
over and burned.
My point is, though, like, they get crazy when, like, the Red Sox win, like, the World Series. They win the championship. It's not like all of the fans of the Red Sox load on to the Excella Express on the way to Yankee Stadium, getting into fistfights with every Yankees fan they come across. I'd be a liar if I said there wasn't stories of some fights, but, like, these guys make, like, a point to just fucking cause mayhem everywhere they go in the name of their football team.
Yeah, and it's not like the hooliganism here has moved past it into what I was expecting to end up as bringing the two gangs together and just starting organized crime. I figured that's the direction it was going in. Not some...
That's what they're trying to do, I feel.
Yeah, but it was just some fucking man baby who just doesn't like it when people say shit about him. Fucking grow up. What the fuck? This is the dumbest club I've ever seen anybody belong to, including Scientology.
I don't know. The QAnon club is pretty. It's pretty bad.
That's a cult.
They stormed the fucking.
That's a cult.
They stormed the fucking nation's capital, man. So
yeah, no.
maybe we don't have a leg to stand on.
Well, I guess hooliganism is in a way a little bit of terrorism if they are wrecking shit and people are getting hurt. Why not?
I don't know.
I don't care.
So,
it's the dumbest fucking thing to be a soccer hooligan. I can understand getting in an argument. I get that. Tempers and
here's the thing. There's only one scene in this film that even takes place at a soccer stadium. And it has nothing to do with the story. So they're like talking about how they want to band together with this other group, this other firm, and join together to make a national firm and travel to, like, I don't know, the World Cup or whatever, the European Championships or whatever it was. And, like, they can't get their shit together, so, like, they start this turf war between the two fucking hooligan clubs.
it just seems
And
like
it's not about anything other than whose dick is bigger.
Yeah.
Now again, I don't live in the UK, and I know that soccer hooliganism became like an organized crime thing, and this time period is when that was really starting to happen. And I know in the other soccer hooligan movies like ID, and then the stuff that we saw like in some of the skinhead flicks we watched, like Made in Britain, like Romper Stompers in the UK, it's Australia, but like there's that whole like the support of the the football club is the excuse to cause the mayhem. Like, that's the excuse.
Yeah.
But, like, in this story, I mean, first and foremost, I'm going to give Gary Oldman his due. He's fucking incredible.
Oh, the actors,
so
the
good.
actors are top notch. The actors are fantastic. I would say even all of the actors in this are great.
Very believable.
Yeah, very believable as immature fucking dickheads.
Yeah, like, I mean, so, like, the rival gang, the Buccaneers, so they ruin his car.
Wait. The Buccaneers football I didn't see Tom Brady in this. What the fuck is going on?
Tom Brady retired anyway. Plus, he's going to
Yeah,
come
but
back
this
and
was
play for 40
filmed
years.
previously, so, like, it's not a representation of now.
What are you talking about?
I have no fucking idea.
All right, stop talking then. All right. They ruin his car. And, like, again, the guy that lives next door to me, he's a Yankees fan. You know what I'm not going to do?
Kill him?
Destroy his property. Like, I'm not going to go over there and write, Big Poppy was here all over his car or whatever, you know? Like, it just seems so ridiculous to me. So they ruin his car, so he's like, well, we got to get back at him. And, like, it just friggin' gets, like, more and more, and then they get into, like, knife fights, and, like,
yeah,
they're trying to go to Holland to like, support the international team. And that's where he's, like, trying to bring the gangs together and trying to organize it. But and what ends up ruining it is Bexy's like, well, I'm going to run it. And then the leader of the other club is like, well, why are you going to run it?
Yeah.
He's like, well, I want to run it. And he's like, well, no, you can't because I'm going to run it. And he's like, well, you know what? Fuck you then. Like, it's just like, if you're going to support the team, go to support the team. You don't need somebody to run it.
Yeah, but, I mean, don't we learn from this? The team is...
You elect somebody to buy the train tickets. Bexy, you pick up the train tickets. I'll call the Ubers. Like that. Like that's what you need. You don't need to run the guys that are going to support the team.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody goes and picks up the jerseys. No, I own a handgun, so I'm going to run the club. What are you talking about, run the club? We're going to cheer on the soccer team.
Yeah, that's the strange thing. It's like the only time that kind of shit should happen should be like, all right, you know, it's all this movie. It's all you got to pick your seats. So one of us has to get the tickets. So we're all sitting together. That's the only time. Like that's
right. I mean,
that's as complicated as it should get for going to something you enjoy.
Right. So Bexy as a character, though, I mean, his whole thing is like he looks at himself as like he's the leader, and he uses that like clout and his social status to really like intimidate everybody.
I'm sorry, I'm just
and be like, no, I get it. Trust me. So all the younger guys like look up to him, and like he actually is like kind of like, you know, he's got some natural qualities, like he's a natural leader.
Sort of, but he's also the oldest one in the group, isn't he?
Well, that's the thing too. Yeah, he's the oldest one in the group. He's the only one that's got like the wife and kid at home, and like, basically just can't get out of his own way, and just wants like, you know, he needs to be the top guy, or he's got to be the top boy, is what they call it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude's already like 47 years old. Like, what are you talking about? So the firms decide that they're gonna fight each other to see who's gonna lead the cruise to the European Championships or whatever it is.
It sounds so fun. I'm saying this, okay, in a room filled with plastic toys, Star Wars pops, whatever. But that behavior sounds so fucking stupid and infantile. Yeah, I said it. I don't get it.
There's this awesome point too where like he gets into it with his wife, because of course his wife kicks him out because he sucks.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
He's awful.
Yeah.
I mean, he leaves his makeshift knife, like laying around, and the baby picks it up and like starts stabbing himself in the mouth with it. Not like stabbing himself in the mouth, but like he puts it in his mouth and he's like doing what a baby does, because you don't leave a knife laying around where there's a baby in the house.
It was like an X-Acto style.
Yeah, so it was like a razor blade. So the kid obviously cut the shit out of his mouth. And what does he do? Yells to the wife, hands the wife the baby, and sends her off to the hospital, and he doesn't do anything. Like, he gets upset, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. But he's like, here, take the kid to the hospital. Right. And then after that, the wife just lays into him.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're a fucking joke.
Yeah.
She's like, you think you're this hot shit, and all these people look up to you. He's like, she says to him, you're a joke to them.
Yeah.
Like, you think they look up to you and they respect you. They don't. You just happen to be the guy that's there, and when you're not there, somebody else will be.
That is true. That is always true. There will always be someone else. Yeah.
And but then he's like, oh, well, I'm such a, and he says, I don't remember exactly what he says, but he's like, he's basically like, well, I'm crazier than the rest of them. I'm not afraid to be violent when I need to be violent, and they respect that. And she's like, whatever, man. She's like, get out.
Yeah, it's like, are you bragging? You think this is a brag? Like,
yeah. But nobody wants, because he's crazy, no one wants to like be like, dude, you're not the dude you think you are.
Yeah, he will intimidate and fuck with people that didn't do anything wrong. So he's it's some kind of psychotic bipolar disorder he's got going on, where he has to be a sociopath because he takes pleasure in other people's discomfort.
Right. So,
which is sorry, it's very on brand for Gary Oldman. So it wasn't surprising.
No, you're 100% right. But so the ICC, they keep getting into these different fights with the gangs, but the whole thing is they gotta beat up the Buccaneers, the guys that have been like their main rival or whatever. So like the guy that's the main guy in the Buccaneers is this guy named Yeti, and it's because he's got the really, really blonde hair. So there's going to be a conflict because he was the other guy that was like, oh, no, I'm going to be the top boy. And then Gary Oldman was like, no, my dick's bigger than yours. So they get into a fight, and Gary Oldman's Bexy beats the shit out of him. Like, he beats him up. He throws him out the door of the bar, the pub they're in, and, beats the tar out of him, and basically is just like, yeah, I got you really, really good, and I showed you, and fuck you. And so what does Yeti do? He takes out a gun and fucking kills him. Like, shoots him right in the chest and kills him.
Yeah, because he was coming in to hit him again.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, that plays.
Yeah, no, yeah, totally tracks.
So, totally tracks. So, like, you just got murdered.
Good job. Good
nothing.
job, dum-dum.
You just got murdered for nothing.
Yeah.
Because you wanted your crew to be the number one soccer hooligan crew. What does that do? Nothing.
Yeah, but then it's fucked up.
I know. Yeah. Because then after that, we see the surviving members of the ICC celebrating the guy as a hero.
Yeah, because he brought the two groups together.
Yeah, he's still dead.
He is definitely still dead. Yes.
They're basically like, all right, the groups have come together because the other leader's gone and dead now, and we're going to celebrate him by going and starting fights and supporting the European clubs when we go to the tournament.
Hey, now that I'm thinking about it, I am totally 100% for celebrating people after their deaths. So to test this, let's start with Putin. And let me test this theory out. Somebody get on that. We have enough fucking drones. Can we just like disguise them as Canadian geese or some shit and fucking end this? Sorry, yeah. So, I
don't know where you're going. Like,
I'm just like, if killing people is what solves the problem, just saying. So you want me to? Did I give this a recommend or not?
Hang on. All right. Do you recommend and what's your grade for The Firm?
I am not going to recommend this. It's mercifully an hour and 8 minutes long.
Yep.
I can't identify with the mindset. There's nothing that put, like Spring, like for instance, since we just covered it. Spring is something you can identify with because everybody's been attracted to somebody else and wants to really give it a shot and try it and see what happens. I can identify with that. But this, I can't identify with going out and causing trouble just to cause trouble because I'm not fucking a 19-year-old skateboarder anymore, Right. Like, like when I had kids, like things change. Things have to change. They don't have to change drastically. It doesn't have to change who you are. But if you're a fucking soccer hooligan that enjoys beating people up, don't have kids, maybe, or stop. That's an option, right? Stopping. So I can't get into it. I can't get into the mindset. I've never been into something so much that I would hurt somebody else if they liked something else having to do with what I liked. It just doesn't make sense. I never understood riots here. I never understood soccer hooligans over there. It just doesn't make fucking sense to me. So I can't get into the story. So there you go.
I hear you.
However, the acting was really good. It did feel claustrophobic at times because the houses are pretty squished together, and it did feel at times like this guy. You could feel the pressure on the screen that this guy's feeling just physically. So it's a well-made movie. I cannot give a shit about the people. So. Still B-.
Okay.
Just because I don't like
good
them
grade.
doesn't mean it's not good. I just won't watch it again. Yeah.
Okay. So I think I'm gonna recommend it though, only because the performances are excellent. It's really short. It's well made. Alan Clark obviously is he did a really good job with the stuff that he was, for the short time that he was with us. Is this the best soccer hooligan movie I've seen? No. I liked ID better than this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've also seen Green Street Hooligans, which I think is pretty good. But like, I'm like you. I don't understand it. Being and it's even harder for me to understand because I am a sports
and
fan.
a wrestling fan on top of it. If anybody, I would imagine
Right.
wrestling fans, because you identify with a character, an individual.
Right. But that's the whole thing too. Like today's wrestling fan, you understand it's a show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the term kayfabe is basically like, if you're keeping up kayfabe means you're still living the gimmick.
Right.
Like there's no gimmick here though. These guys just thought they were important.
Right.
For no reason other than they were loudmouth jerks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, mission accomplished. Alan Clark is not trying to make these guys out to be the good guys. You're not supposed to root for
Right.
them.
Right.
And I get that. And that's the point. So he succeeded in that. But it's really frustrating because I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand, like, how, like, you could die for something like this. Like, you know what? If someone told me they were going to kill me if I never went to a Celtics game again, I'd be like, that's fine. I'm a Lakers fan now. I don't know. All right.
Yeah, that's fine. I like making homemade soups now.
LeBron for life. That's fine, man. Like, oh, you want me to root for the Knicks? All right.
You
cool.
want me to root for nobody? I can do that too.
It's like, yeah, you also want me to just live in a barn? Sure.
Is there heat?
I don't even need
No,
that.
I do. I definitely do.
Got a blanket? So I'm gonna recommend it because I think it's well made. It actually is a pretty good showing of the time period. Gary Oldman is excellent. I love the wife, Leslie Manville too. She was like great.
Oh, she was. Yeah.
Because she was so exactly what she was supposed to be. And that scene where the kid puts the knife in his mouth and stabs himself, and like when he realized, like that little baby, like I don't know how they did it, but like there's a moment where that kid realizes all of a sudden that he has probably injured himself, and just starts screaming.
Yeah, my bet is somebody off stage yelled at him and startled him.
Maybe. So I'm glad that I watched this, but it's not something that I think you necessarily need to search out unless you're already interested in the subject. But I am going to recommend it if that makes sense.
Right.
And for a grade, I'm going to give it a C+. I'll give it a C+.
That's what I was gonna go with, but
I think I would like a little bit. It's really short. It's only an hour and 8 minutes, as you said. But I think if I had gotten 5 more minutes of character development on the ins and outs of the gang and why they were doing what they were doing, I just needed a little bit more why.
Yeah, like if he had taken it over from his father. Right?
Or even
I
just
could've
like
gone with
a
that.
scene where they're all like at a game supporting the team and then like seeing their connection with the team, because we don't even know anything about the football team they support. Like, we know nothing about them because it's not about football. And I get that it's not about football, but you know what? Soccer hooligans, maybe you give me a little bit more soccer.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
But isn't that the point, that it's really not about the games? Right? It's about the group of people.
No, it's not.
So,
Right. About your brothers and your family and who you're living with.
yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
All right. There you have it, Howard. Thank you for the films. 2 great picks. I think those are both good reviews too. So.
Oh yeah,
All right, cool.
I'm never going to be actually mad at anybody that gives us a movie to watch. I'll pretend. And that's the only time I'm going to say that.
Considering most of the stuff that's probably suggested is
Going to make me
not
mad.
as bad as half the stuff. Not as half as bad as the stuff I've made you watch. All right. Joe is slogging his way through the Leprechaun films. This week, though, we take it to the stars. I've got the stuff loaded up here, but obviously we're having problems with these things. I'll start it, and if I need to play it from something else, I will.
Well, hello, Bill. Hello, Chris, and hello, OTC Nation. It's your boy Joe here, and this week Bill shot me into space. He made me watch Leprechaun 4 in space. And we are off to a fan-fucking-tastic start here. Over the opening credits that any self-respecting person would have removed themselves from, introduce Alan Smithy, we see asteroids and spaceships and planets and all the other expected spacey things. And it's all CGI. But Joe, you might say, there's nothing inherently wrong with CGI, especially when you're doing space stuff. Yes, gentle listener. Yes. But this is low-budget 1996 CGI.
Yeah. Shiny rocks.
Now gasp. Gasp, I say, as you look upon the work of underpaid nerds generating images so realistic and detailed that the video your local church group put together to get you to stop playing D&D looks like Jurassic Park by comparison. Okay, seriously. Jurassic Park was made in 1993 and has CGI that looks better than 99% of everything computerized for the next 20 years.
So true.
What the fuck happened there? Oh, hey everyone. Miguel Nunez Jr. is here. I mean, I guess he needed to fill some time before Joanna Man started shooting. If I ever made a movie, and I probably won't, but if I did, I would want to cast him in it just to have someone in the film offer him some enchiladas. Low-hanging fruit, for sure, but it makes me very, very happy that that scene from Friday the 13th Part 5 has become a meme. So, I'm 11 minutes in, and this is already my favorite Leprechaun movie. Why? Because it's got my favorite combination of things. By all metrics, everything about this movie is absolute dog shit, but you can tell they tried. Oh, boy, did they try. Near as I can tell, Leppy is posted up on a faraway planet and is trying to woo the alien princess like he's James Tiberius Kirk, when a bunch of rando cock-blocking space marines who all watched Aliens before filming come to blow up his spot. The writers I think they all watched Aliens before making this too, because this is literally a movie about space marines sent in to destroy a monster who has brought a corporation's profits to a halt, and not only are they expected to defeat the monster, the corporation wants it brought back alive, or at least a sample, so that they can profit further from it. There's even a female, quote, consultant, unquote, who is in over her head, but who has already clearly been set up to be the hero and fall in love with the only studly space marine with an IQ over 85. Okay, something just happened that is going to be the majority of this review, because nothing they do from here on will be as magnificently bad, yet funny, as what I just saw. So Leppy was wooing the princess when the Marines showed up. They toss a grenade. Leppy throws himself on the grenade to save his love, the princess. In an act of celebration, one of the Marines pisses on Leppy's splattered remains. A beam of ultra-cheap CGI green mist comes up from Leppy's corpse into the Marine's schwanz, and it's forgotten about until They're all back on the ship celebrating, and the Marine is making out with the lady. And Leppy erupts from the man's dick. You heard me right. Leppy comes back to life, fully formed from this poor guy's now exploded dick, and he just scampers off into the guts of the ship instead of this guy's guts. This is exactly Aliens, but only if James Cameron screamed at everyone that the last thing he ever wants to see in this film is someone taking it seriously. If I see one of you chuckle fucks taking shit seriously, you will never work in this town again. Unless you're Mark Jones, creator of the Leprechaun franchise, and the only person attached to all the films so far. I need to meet Mark Jones. I desperately want to ask him why none of these films are connected to the others, and why he never feels the need to explain how we got into the story. Like, except for the first one, they always start at a point where you've usually, in good movies at least, been given the barest whisper of a setup. And yet again, this is an Aliens ripoff of the worst degree, as the entire movie is one long chase scene with the Marines dying off one by one. Listen. If you're gonna make an Aliens ripoff, that's fine. It's a good movie to rip off. This could have been a perfectly fine, low-budget space monster movie. You needed Leppy in your space movie about as much as the other space movie needed a torture-happy priest of hell in it. Or as much as the other space movie needed an angry, undead drowning victim who is just hell on your camp's liability insurance in it. I mean, at least when they got to Critters, I think 4 in that franchise, when they went to space, it made a little bit of sense since the Krites are goddamn aliens. Mm-hmm. The only thing Leppy 4 has over Aliens is that Leppy 4 is not 20 minutes too long. Leppy 4 is only about 5, maybe 10 minutes too long.
That's not bad.
After chases and fights that, much like the movie this is trying so hard to be, go on a little too long, the Leppy gets, I shit you not, sucked out of an airlock into space. Okay. And the last thing we see is Leppy's hand giving us, the audience, the middle finger, and if that doesn't sum this up, I don't know what will. Here's the thing. The good. This is actually a pretty fair example of so bad it's good. I hate to say it, I actually enjoyed this on that level. The bad. The sets and special effects look like they were done by some unpaid interns who were just handed $100 and told to make it work. I didn't grade Leppy 3 last week. That'll get a straight C. Leppy 4, in space, is going to get a C-, though again, this is a movie that you and some friends could have some fun with. Next week we're going to the hood. So until then, be good, everyone.
Very excited for the Leprechaun's trip to the hood, because I really remember loving Leprechaun in the Hood. I remember being like, this is so ridiculous, it's hilarious.
I'm interested in the fact that the Leprechaun went to space before the urban area of a major city.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's no timeline in the Leprechaun movie.
Seems
so don't try
excessive.
to figure out, there's no canon to follow or anything like
so
that.
So it doesn't matter, I know. I just think it's funny.
Although, I think, if I'm not mistaken, at the beginning of the space one, they tell you that it's way in the future, the years are way in the future. So it's when they go back to when they go to the hood, it's, I guess, takes place before the space one. In the chronological timeline.
Yeah, that's fine. They did it with Hellraiser. I'm cool.
Whatever. Speaking of whatever, here's Scott.
When is the birthday of the show? It's this month, but do we know what day?
It's the very beginning of February. I don't remember the exact day the first episode went up, but it's either the end of January or the beginning of February.
Okay, I thought it was middle to end of February, but
no,
we're
over 14. Yeah, we're over 14. We did the show already, telling everyone.
Yeah, I know. I just couldn't remember.
Scott
exact-
sent in a segment, and
Did he? Who?
Scott sent in a segment. It was a pretty good one. I mean, not the best work he's done, but
I'll take your word for it.
all right.
After Joe does his thing, I usually hang up and you play out some just previously recorded shit. So
I mean, you're not wrong.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, now I gotta stay.
Oops, wrong intro.
The fuck?
Just so you know, I'll tell you after the segment. You've worked your way into a inside family joke with me and Mel.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Okay.
segment.
Holy shit!
Yeah, with Reverend Scott.
There's only one person
Oasis.
that can play Austin Powers if he comes from the 90s.
Who is that?
Mark McGrath.
Come on, shut up.
I don't know his first name.
Shut your goddamn mouth.
Still a good idea. Who's more 90s than that?
Shifty Shell Shock from Crazy Town.
Okay.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is Reverend Scott.
A serious man.
Yeah, seriously worried about you playing with forces you don't fully understand.
I'm a little shocked that Reverend Scott hasn't busted out Lucky the Leprechaun yet.
Yeah. Is it
With these to
Leppy
go
or
along with
Lucky? I can't remember. Oh, that I just invoked him, didn't I?
No, isn't it Lupke?
Lupke. Oh.
Lupke?
First of all, his name is Lepke the Leprechaun, and there's really only two reasons we'd ever hear from that asshole. Either it's St. Patrick's Day, or I stupidly accidentally say IWISH, which I will not do right now. So just feel lucky this hasn't happened. Yet. But something that did happen was I finished Season 1 of Peacemaker. But before I talk about that, let's review your reviews of Persona and Blood Simple. So your first film, based on the video game series of the same name, Persona.
Cinema.
Yes, Persona is one of those quote-unquote important films.
Persona is the Mount Everest of cinematic storytelling and analysis.
Oh, in analysis, yeah.
Yeah, because so many people are going to try, but only a handful are going to truly, really be able to make it to that summit.
Gee golly, that does sound important. Can you guys give me a brief rundown of your review last week?
So I watched this movie, right? I actually watched this movie. And then I said, I wonder what this is about. And then I looked it up. And you know what this movie can be about?
The 3 frames of the erect penis.
Yes.
Wow, certainly sounds like Mount Everest. And I don't really remember how the review went. Seems like it was a lot of pressure to do it, though.
Don't fuck it up is basically how it went.
And listen, I don't think you fucked up anything, but there were points of the review I was just totally lost. Like, what did this part mean?
Bless you. Oh, my. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Bless you.
I'm still clueless, but I'm just going to let it go. It's like you said, it ain't that deep.
Anyone that listens to us knows that's not how I review films. That's not how you review films. Sometimes we'll do the OTCSIs where we dig deeper, but like we're not those guys. That's just not. You're not, and hopefully you're not listening to us for that. If you are, I apologize.
Well, there's a lot you need to apologize to me for, but not going crazy deep into reviews isn't one of them. I think it was a great review. Too bad I just didn't understand any of it. I give it a B+.
Can I make sense of all of it? No, not really, but it's not that like confusing, stupid bullshit.
After that was the review for Blood Simple, from the director of Bill's favorite flick, The Big Lebowski.
What?
Hold on. I think something was factually incorrect about that last statement.
Wait a minute. I know.
Oh well, who cares? Anyway, Bill was apprehensive about reviewing this movie, I think.
This is a Chris idea. Blame him. Don't blame me.
But you did it anyway. Let's hear a summary of that review.
This movie is really hot and sticky.
Yeah.
And like, there's points where like, I'm just like, you know what? Take your jacket off.
Yeah.
Riveting as always, guys. Anyway, this film sounded like it was just an amazing script and had great twists and turns and was entertaining from start to finish, even if Chris kept trying to spoil the whole thing.
I'm not going to say anything because we're going to...
No, it's
Come
okay.
on, say something. Change the subject.
I'm trying. I've tried to interrupt you 4 times and you've kept talking.
No, let me say something.
No, so Howard's picks, if you want to be...
I give this review a straight B. for Big Lebowski.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, enough about those old-ass movies. What about my old ass? What have I been watching lately? Well, I already told you. It's the only good thing DC has going for themselves lately. Peacemaker Season 1. And I know, I told you once already how great this thing is, but now I can tell you with full authority that this thing is amazing. And I'm not just talking about the intro to the show. Between John Cena's growth as an actor, Peacemaker's arc as a character, fighting against everything his father stood for and led him to believe as a child, to Vigilante showing what a real friend he could be, Waller's daughter learning her real place on the team, just every character on the team figuring out where they fit in, and how they could really depend on each other by the end of the season. The violence and action were handled incredibly well, the special effects were on par with the movie that it was spawned from, far beyond a lot of normal TV shows. And I admit some of the jokes are cringy, but I think that's the way it's supposed to be when you're dealing with an early season version of Peacemaker and Vigilante. They're not the most mature men you'll ever meet, but I think that's why they're really easy to relate to.
It was easier for you. Not for me, though. Not for me.
And the best part, well, this show is released on a weekly basis on HBO Max, but now it's available to watch the whole thing in entirety.
Oh, I've already got these shows. Great.
And I'm sure I could gush about this show for another hour, talking about Eagly's hugs, the piano solo, or the perfect cameo in the final episode, but I won't do that. I'm just gonna say, go watch that shit. And I give Season 1 an A. I'll probably watch it again. It's just too bad that Bill has terrible taste and hated Peacemaker.
But I just don't like it.
Yeah.
And I think since we've started this show, I get so much grief for not liking it.
You do.
I just don't.
You do.
I just don't. Sorry.
Fucking travesty. Okay, that's it for me this week. But make sure you all tune in next week when Joe keeps dealing with the fucking Leprechaun series. And he prepares for his upcoming fucking Trancer series.
As you just heard, the Patreon just shoveled a gaping mouthful of it to Joe for his next list.
I like the pause so you can determine how dirty you wanted to get with that.
And I'll keep on reviewing your shit and my shit and doing what I do and Joe doing what he does. All with zero appreciation.
Those two guys, by the way, fucking, why is nobody talking about them?
I don't know.
They're fantastic.
Okay.
More people, honestly, I think more people should check out this stuff.
You're not giving him enough credit. You're not giving him enough Deja Antoine.
Aw, thanks, guys.
Fuck you.
So until next time I manipulate show audio to give myself a compliment, peace and love, guys.
So yeah, this week on the show, Bill did some deep digging. I love. Why am I talking about myself in the third person?
I don't know.
Do I do that? Is that
really
is that a thing I do normally? I don't feel like it is. Yay, Bill! Bill didn't do any research.
How to the internet with Bill.
Power through it, Bill. Nose to the grind.
Ignorant American Bill.
I remember how back in the day, Bill went crazy with all the sound clips.
Bill's weird. Bill likes the dudes.
Bill is failing on virtually every point today. All right then. So a few weeks ago, I don't remember exactly which episode it was, but you were like, "Hey," and I was like, "Yeah." You're like, why didn't you tell me about this band Wigwam?
Yeah, that was just a way. That was just a way to bring it up.
Right. But it's now become a joke in the house. As I told Mel the story of like, yeah, Chris said to me, I'm like, he's like, why didn't I tell him? Like, and she's like, because Chris doesn't listen to music.
No, I do. I do. I do, actually.
But it was actually, I mean, it was funny though, because you were like, you assumed like, you knew that I knew who they were before without even knowing. You're like, well, tell me why didn't you tell me about these guys? I'm like, I don't know. What?
Yeah, it's a hair metal band from fucking where? Sweden, Finland. Where?
Yeah, I think they're Finnish. I think.
I knew you were into it, and you knew who I knew you knew who they were.
So the joke has become whenever something random happens, it'll be like, I don't know, she'll be making dinner or whatever, and I'll be like, hey, why didn't you tell me about these chicken breasts? ridiculous.
Yes.
Right? All right.
Yes, because that's not even close.
Thank you guys for listening. Thank you very much to Howard for programming the show. I'm going to take a look at those suggestions that Mark gave us and see what we can find for next week. If you'd like to join the Patreon, it's the best way to support the show. Go to patreon.com/outsidethecinema. $5 a month, $5 US dollars gets you access to our show archives and access to the private feed and all the cool stuff that we do that you don't hear
If
otherwise.
you're in Russia and listening to the show, I think it's going to cost you about $400,000 in Russian money
your
as
dollar,
of today to sign up for it. That's $5 American.
Yes. If you gave me five rubles, you would still owe me another 15.
1,000.
Something like that. I don't know. Thank you guys very much for hanging out with us. And we'll talk to you next week.